don't know me, tonight I'm going to be sharing with you guys something that God has spent the last 6 years teaching me and how He's transformed me through challenges. So I've struggled with anxiety for a lot of my life. I have memories from as young as 3 or 4 years old, and thinking back now, there were definitely signs of anxiety. It's crazy because I remember the spiraling thoughts going through my tiny little brain so clearly as if I was thinking those things now. Fast forward to middle school. When I was 11 years old, my family and I moved to KL from America. I was honestly really excited about moving to Malaysia because at that point I liked change and I liked starting new adventures. I started 6th grade at a tiny, brand new school, and I really loved it. I grew especially close with a group of 4 girls, and I had never had such awesome friends who grew me closer to God and had a similar TCK life as I did, and I was thriving. Unfortunately, that all abruptly changed when COVID started, as for many people, but school closed and my 3 closest friends, as well as my teacher and mentor, all had to leave the country. At the start of COVID, I was given a lot of hope and promises that everything was going to go back to normal in 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks, they said. Of course, COVID was more like 2 years, and yeah, this is where my anxiety really kicked in. I was stuck in my house all day with my closest friends suddenly on the other side of the world. I was super lonely and losing hope. During this time, I was incredibly tense, and anything would set me off crying. Crying for my friends, crying for myself, but mostly just crying, not knowing what was wrong, but I knew that I felt terrible. And there were also weeks where I'd have panic attacks every day. And if you've ever had a panic attack, you know that it's scary and painful, and it leaves you feeling entirely defeated. This was a confusing time because I still loved God. I went to church, I prayed. Why was this happening? I didn't know how to reconcile in my mind how I could feel like I still loved God, yet then have such dark moments. Fast forward to high school, when my parents told me we were moving to Penang, that was also really rough. I didn't think I'd ever get to see those 3 friends again, because even if they did come back, I wouldn't be there anymore. And starting high school, I always pictured it as this really exciting thing, and I was really excited, but it was not how I envisioned it. I was starting high school online, not knowing anybody. And it was lonely. We started going to a new church, and I still believed in God, but if anything, my mental health only got worse. I went from crying every day to desperately needing to cry but not being able to. I felt so hopeless. I'd often wonder if God could ever take away this always looming anxiety and just hard depression. By 10th grade, depression and anxiety were my life. That was my norm. I didn't remember a time when I didn't have that heavy, dark cloud around me. I didn't have a clear turning point in that journey, except maybe when I was able to get officially diagnosed with anxiety. God provided an answer to my plea about this, and He provided favor with my parents by letting them be on board with taking me to get diagnosed, and favor with a psychiatrist for being able to see me. And I believe this is where God really started building my faith and confidence in Him back up. God took care of that initial spark, but what followed, I know God was working with me to help me to continue to improve. Today, anxiety is still part of my life. But I can tell you I've experienced joy when I honestly thought I'd never get to feel that in my whole life. And I have constant hope and just a greater trusting in my God than I have ever had before. So what happened between 10th grade and now was not an overnight switch, and honestly I'm still changing and growing to this day in regard to anxiety and depression. But here are some things that I think God has spoken to me, and I really want to share with anyone in the room who has or is struggling with anxiety or depression. So number one, God is worthy of your praise. This is something God spoke to me one day as I was walking from my house to a worship night that many of you guys go to every Saturday. And I started feeling really anxious, and I was totally ready to just turn around and go back home. But I felt God say to me, I am worthy of your praise. And I wasn't discouraged by that. It wasn't like someone getting mad at me, He wasn't discouraging, but instead filled me with purpose and confidence. I serve the God of the universe, and so no matter how I'm feeling, God is always worthy of my praise. So I urge you to take those little steps of obedience. If God is telling you to do something, even if it's as small as just showing up to a place, just do it. Take that step of faith. It only takes once. God honors your obedience, and He will not lead you into harm. Just allow God to build your faith in Him. The second thing is that having anxiety does not disqualify you from fulfilling the Great Commission. I used to be so frustrated because I felt like God gave me so much heart and passion for serving and loving the lost, yet because of my anxiety, I couldn't follow through on any of those things. I believed the lie that I needed to be at my best in order to serve God. And that may seem like an obvious lie, but the enemy can be really convincing. God is not waiting for you to be better in order to use you. He knows your weaknesses and wants to use you anyways. Just ask Moses and King David and Peter and Paul. The third thing is, Jesus does not put you to shame. Romans 10:11 says, everyone who believes in Him will not be put to shame. If you feel shame, it's not from God. So if you do feel ashamed or destroyed or broken, don't keep your distance from God. I've made that mistake far too many times. It's exactly what the enemy wants you to do. But don't fall for it. Jesus does not put you to shame. So run to His arms. And His love is greater than we can possibly imagine. And so I'll finish by telling you a song lyric that really changed my perspective on God's love. It's called Sure Been Good. And the lyric says, you always knew there was a better me, but you loved me like I was. You always knew there was a better me, but you loved me like I was. And I think there's two ways you can take that, but you knew there was a better me, but you loved me anyways, like how I am now, even though I'm not there. But what God was really saying to me in that moment, I stopped in my tracks when I heard that lyric. I hadn't heard it before. And I was like, whoa. And God was saying that He knows that there's a better me, but He loves me as if I already was that better me. That's how much He loves you guys. Thanks.